Hello and welcome to Developing the Leader Within. I'm going to look at a chapter in my book that I wrote about that development, and it's called Leader. And I'd love for you to get it because it looks at some of the defining moments in my life, and then I trigger some thoughts in your thinking to think about your defining moments that develop the leader in you. And you'll be surprised how much of that is already developed, and you just need to think about it a little bit further, meditate on it if you like, and it will really establish you as a leader in that field. In the one chapter I spoke about is where you use what you've got. You've got to use what you've got. And this is something I've learned, I suppose, growing up in a missionary family. That's something we really needed to do. We were often in different situations where we really needed to use what we have. And the first time I learned this was when we were playing cricket in the south of Johannesburg. For those of you who don't know Johannesburg, it's a city of gold. It had a lot of gold mines. And we used to go into Gold Reef City and see how they mine it and go down in the mine with our little lamps and things like that. It's a good little trip to do. And I remember picking up a bar of gold the first time. I thought it was magnetized because it was so heavy. They show you how they melt it, they get it out of the ore, and we take you through the whole process of getting that little bit of gold. And they actually poured it out in front of us. We could feel the heat from the kiln. And then they put the gold bar there while they explained all the processes to us. And at the end, we could all go and pick it up. And I remember as a kid going, wow, there must be a magnet under the table. It's so heavy. And when you've gone through a lot of things in your life, there's an element of gold that comes forth. It takes about a ton of ore for you to get a little pinky size, the top of your little finger. That's about an ounce of gold. And it's worth it. In other words, the things you go through, the explosions, the depths you have to mine, the heat you go through, the catalysts that come in and out of your life that trigger things. And some of the things that were triggered in my life were through sport. And if you look at sport, it's a wonderful leveler. It places us all on an equal footing, and you have to learn how to use what you've got and think under pressure. So it's a wonderful thing for kids to enjoy a competitive game. And I know that it can be extreme, and some parents really get competitive. I happen to have been a sports coach as well, professionally, and I enjoyed seeing the different types of parents next to the field. Some of them are more into the game than their kids were. Their kids were like yawning and like, I want this day to be over when, if we play long cricket games. But the parents, my gosh, they were more competitive than some of the kids. But I've seen how there were different types of teams. Sometimes you get a wonderful team. Everybody knows what they're doing. It's an easy coaching year. But some years, you got your work cut out for you. You got one or two people that actually understand the game that you're coaching, and the rest of them, I don't know. They never watched cricket a day in their lives. Their parents never taught them how to catch a ball. You got to teach them everything. But that makes you a good coach then. Those years I coached harder and I learned more about the game than in the years when things were going easy. So when you have a team, in my under 11 side, I write about the school I went to in Alberton, okay? So that now you know exactly where I'm from. I'm from the south of Joburg, so don't mess with me. And there's some good people down there, strong people down there. And I like visiting there as well. I like going in there and saying hi to friends. But Alberton, we were in Kenton. Our school song was Ever Upward, Ever Upward. Oh, Excelsior, we proudly sing. Ever upward, ever upward. Oh, Excelsior, we proudly sing. And we weren't the best school, and we were quite a new school actually at that stage. And we would compete against other schools where they had very established cricket teams, cricket coaching systems, cricket fields. I mean, we had a mat, that we laid out on gravel. But, my father and I, we've always worked together in sport and in ministry and in business. So when we came from Australia, I'd had really good coaching in Australia because they coach you for free on Saturday mornings at the Wollongabba cricket ground in Brisbane, Australia. And I really had a lot of wonderful mornings there where they'd give us notes and coach us, and then we go apply it. And we were given free tickets to watch cricket in the morning there. I watched Viv Richards play. I watched, Kepler Wessels and those guys were there then, Kim Hughes. And I saw the West Indies play, and that really inspired me. So when I came back to South Africa, I knew something about the game. And my dad is also a student of the game. So when we arrived in the school, there's cricket, but there's no coaching. The school had largely female staff who, at that stage, women were not playing a lot of cricket. And the lady there that eventually came to our church as well, Miss Ayres, she was wonderful. She was very keen to grow the cricket in the school. And she said, Andre, come and help. So my dad became the coach. I became the captain. Okay, and you might say, oh, that's so easy to become captain. There was literally nobody else who knew the fielding positions on the cricket field, so I was sort of captain by default. And I remember taking a little piece of paper and writing little, fielding positions, keeping it in my pocket between overs because things have to switch around and you have to move men around. So, yeah, it was wonderful to get started that way. And I remember our team. This is the thing we need to talk about. Using what you've got in terms of a team. A team is a wonderful thing if you can see it. Because you've got people that have got different skill sets and they come together under pressure and they have to perform. You have no option. You have to play together. And life is like that. You're often in a situation where you don't exactly have everybody you'd want on your team, but you've got a few that you can sort of work with and have partnerships with, and some of the others you just don't get. And you have to make it work. And that's a great exercise in leadership. So when I started working with these guys, there were some excellent athletes in the team. Not necessarily cricket players, but athletes. Like I remember Adrian was our star athlete. He would run all the races and break all the records. So he could play tennis. So my dad told him, say, hey, Adrian, why don't you just hit the cricket ball like you hit the tennis ball? And you know what he did? And he was hitting sixes and all sorts of things. And people were going, that's not a cricket shot. And Adrian was like, I don't care. It's making runs. I had a fast bowler, was a Jehovah's Witness. It's a different faith from mine. I tried to bring him to church and he tried to take me to his church. And eventually we became friends. Played cricket together. And Shane was a great fast bowler. He had a very mean Yorker. I enjoyed him. And then we had Alan, could hit the ball. And Etienne, who was like a A.B. de Villiers, a really, really gifted person, hit the ball well. And several other people, Warren, and we had, you get them all. You get the guy who's always got the perfect pads, he's always got the new equipment. I mean, he even had Premier League soccer kit when we practiced. And what a character. And the rest of us were sort of trying to piece together our kit, and this guy was always like, he's just out there. You're going to have those characters in your side and celebrate them, Try and find out what their skills are and work with them. And I remember that at the end of that season, we played together for 2 years. The first year was kind of interesting. We learned through our mistakes. We won 1 or 2 games, we lost many. The next year, we came together as a team so nicely that we got ourselves into the final. And the team already knew what to do. Everybody knew what their job was in the team. And we came up against Randart. I remember the one team was called Randart. And they were really, really organized Afrikaans school. And they played fantastic cricket. They were like, they were like our Affies, if you know what that is. And Randart always won the regional league. And we knew that if we beat these guys, we'd be champions. And I remember us getting to the finals against these guys and we having a go. And I was sick as a dog that day. I remember getting in and I couldn't even bat and bowl properly. I actually spent half the game in the car. And while I was, sick and coughing it up, my friends, these guys who I'd kind of, grown with them, shown them a lot of things about cricket, they went and did it themselves and they won the cup with me in the car coughing it up. That was very funny for me. And it was also kind of weird because I thought, shouldn't I be out there winning this? And then I realized it's the team that does it. It's not you. You can't win a team game by yourself. And you've got to trust your friends then. And I remember I did the fielding, and when we'd finished fielding, the rest of the team went and won the game for us. I didn't beat the winning runs. I didn't get the glory I wanted, but the team won. And it was a great lesson for me in really equipping the people around you and working with what you have so that you can win as a team. And you know what? The spirit we had was incredible. I remember later when we went to another school in Pretoria called St. Albans, 300 boys in the school. And we'd have to play against like St. Stithians, these guys from Joburg, massive school, lots of boys, over 1,000 guys. And then we'd have to play cricket against them. My friend Stuart and I decided, you know what, if we win the toss, we bat. And we bat as long as we can. We had about 2 batsmen in the side, that could bat all day. So we decided we're going to bat. And then we'd give them like a few hours. You might say this is negative, but we made them very angry, those guys. And I remember against some of the other big schools as well, we'd have to find strategies to use what we have. And I've taken that into ministry. I've taken it into our NPO work that we have. And you use what you've got, and you use it well, and you enhance it, And we often complain about what we don't have, but what do you have, and how are you using that? It doesn't help you pine away at something that still has to happen, something you still need to buy, why you don't have this and why you don't have that. Meanwhile, life is passing you by. A leader develops an ability to use what you've got. And I wanted to encourage you with that today. And if you'd like a life coaching session with me, we can do one online. These days it's much quicker. Don't have to travel too far. And we can do a session together and for a reasonable rate. And we can work through some of those issues in your life. And we can also help identify what you have in your life and see how you can leverage that for your personal success and for the success of your team, which is actually what you want. Because when your team succeeds, you succeed. So I hope that's helped you. Please contact me at ajapelsa@gmail.com and we can have a good chat. I'm also on LinkedIn, and we can see how we can help you further to leverage your inner leader.